You are listening to an Afraid of the Dark narration. We hope you enjoy. I've always admired my grandpa more than anyone else in the world. He was more than a grandfather. He was a living legend in our family. With over 4 decades of service at NASA, he'd ignited my imagination since childhood. I knew deep in my heart that I wanted to be just like him one day. My fascination with space began long before high school, back when my friends and I were still young and full of boundless curiosity. Those were the days when we'd gather in the park, our eager eyes fixed on the Hollywood sign that overlooked our adventures. In our little oasis of imagination, we'd build rockets from cardboard boxes, kitchen supplies, and whatever else we could get our hands on. We'd take turns pretending to initiate takeoff, counting down in unison, 3, 2, 1. Blast off! The thrill of those makeshift launches sent our hearts soaring, even though our rockets never left the ground. But in those moments, I felt a connection to my grandpa's legacy, a glimpse into a thrilling world he had been a part of for so long. It was under the California sun that I vowed to follow in his footsteps. As I entered high school, my determination to pursue a career at NASA, just like he had intensified. I devoured books about space exploration, watched documentaries on astronauts, and hung posters of far-off galaxies in my room. Grandpa was always there to answer my questions, patiently explaining the complexities of astrophysics and the wonders of the universe. One evening, as we sat in his cozy living room, he began another one of his mesmerizing tales. But this time they were filled with terror. He told me space should remain unexplored, and I'm here to tell you why. It all began nearly 80 years ago, when humanity first dared to venture beyond the confines of our home planet. Back then, our preoccupations were primarily terrestrial, consumed by petty disputes and trivialities. We squabbled over minuscule matters, while the cosmos beckoned us with its silent mysteries. But the allure of space was impossible to ignore. And when we finally turned our collective gaze towards the heavens, the race to the stars unfolded at a breathtaking pace. It was the year 1959 that my grandpa, fresh out of college, began his intern job at NASA that would take him to the very edge of human exploration. Yet beneath the veneer of celebrated space missions and scientific milestones, there lurked a hidden world, shrouded in secrecy. Grandpa spoke of classified missions that were made off the books. Orders were passed like contraband. These were missions that defied documentation, launched covertly from secret black sites scattered across the globe. One of Grandpa's earliest missions was a momentous occasion, a moment etched into his memory as vividly as the day it unfolded. He had the privilege of being present for the first ever photograph of Earth from orbit. Though his role in communications wasn't pivotal to the event, the sheer anticipation in the control room drew everyone in. As my grandpa waited for the transmission to arrive, the control room buzzed with excitement. They had to endure a considerable wait, but when the image finally graced their screens, it was as though the heavens themselves had bestowed a gift upon them. There, before their eyes, was our beloved Earth, its colossal curvature stretched out, and a radiant halo of light danced around it. It was a breathtaking sight, one that spoke to the awe-inspiring beauty of our home planet. Yet, amid the wonder, Grandpa and his crew captured something else. Something that he told me would haunt his dreams for years to come. Behind the Earth, in the distant reaches of space, loomed a colossal, nightmarish figure. It emerged from the shadows, its form a grotesque silhouette against the backdrop of darkness. Here, Grandpa describes the entity. The entity bore a grotesque torso, arms outstretched menacingly, and wicked spines jutting from its sides. 2 crimson orbs, large and piercing, blazed with an unholy intensity against the unfathomable darkness of space. Below, a gaping maw yawned wide, an abyss of terror frozen in a terrifying roar. The crew snapped another photograph from the satellite, and it was gone, as though the cosmic horror had never existed, vanishing into the void as quickly as it had appeared. To this day, it is still searched for, though it had revealed itself only once more. A brief, chilling sight of it was recorded in the year 1999. Grandpa had a way of making the universe come alive, weaving tales that both thrilled and chilled me to the bone. But one story, in particular, stood out. The story of Commander John Anderson, pilot Timothy Mitchell, and engineer Robert Davis. These three men, Grandpa would tell me, were not just colleagues. They were a brotherhood bound by their shared mission. Their objective? An initial manned spaceflight, a daring adventure. Commander John, Pilot Timothy, and Engineer Robert were slated for a 10-hour orbit, a routine mission that was supposed to end with their safe return. The launch went off without a hitch, and for those initial hours, all seemed well as they soared through the Earth's atmosphere. But then, as they pierced the upper atmosphere, trouble reared its head. Grandpa described it as a descent into chaos. The jets, meant to ensure a precise trajectory, refused to shut off and panic set in. Grandpa lowered his voice at this point. He told me how the three astronauts frantically tried to regain control, shouting over one another in a desperate bid to fix the malfunction. They barreled straight through their intended orbit, veering dangerously close to the searing embrace of the sun. The relentless jets kept firing, propelling them further off course. Despite the perilous situation, Grandpa and his colleagues at NASA maintained radio contact for an agonizing 19 hours after liftoff. Grandpa spoke to them, his voice steady but heavy with sorrow, as their precious fuel dwindled. Despite the loss of that earlier manned flight, Grandpa and his NASA crew finally mastered the art of launching humans into space and safely returning them to Earth. The exhilarating adventures and nerve-wracking moments of those earlier missions had forged them into a seasoned team, ready for the next great leap in space exploration. As the sinister tale goes, my grandpa's past at NASA held a dark secret, a chilling encounter with extraterrestrial beings that would haunt him until the end of his days. Sometime after being an intern, Grandpa was promoted to engineer on the Apollo mission. He was part of a crew of astronauts that was pegged for the moon. But just when they thought they were alone in the cosmic abyss, a blip on the radar sent shivers down their spines. An unknown object loomed before them, a colossal, gleaming monstrosity that eclipsed the moon's surface. Panic gripped the astronauts, their composure shattered as they realized that something not of this world lurked nearby. The alien spacecraft unfurled like a grotesque blossom, revealing its otherworldly inhabitants. Towering and ominous, they emerged, creatures with elongated limbs, their skin a sickly shade of green, and eyes that gleamed with malevolent intelligence. The astronauts were paralyzed, unable to move or speak as these extraterrestrial visitors projected their thoughts directly into their minds. The aliens introduced themselves as the harbingers of desolation, beings feared throughout the cosmos for their power to extinguish entire civilizations. Grandpa described their chilling revelation in hushed, trembling tones. The harbingers had watched the rise and fall of countless worlds, intervening only when they believed a civilization posed a threat to the cosmic order. Earth, they declared, stood at the precipice of such a reckoning. With an icy dread that permeated the spacecraft, the harbingers presented NASA's crew with a macabre ultimatum. They offered to share their arcane knowledge, promising to elevate Earth's technology and understanding of space in exchange for a base on our planet, to further their sinister designs. The alternative, they whispered with a sinister hiss, was a cataclysmic one. The harbingers had obliterated entire worlds, consigning them to oblivion with but a mere thought. Earth's fate, they warned, would be no different if humanity dared to defy them. The universe would bear witness to yet another civilization's annihilation. Grandpa often spoke of the insidious changes that had gripped the planet since that fateful encounter. Governments had crumbled, and puppet regimes, controlled by the harbingers, rose to power. Fear and oppression became the norm, with the populace living in constant trepidation, their dreams of freedom a distant memory. The years rolled on, and Earth became an unsettling nexus of the unknown, a world tethered to the sinister machinations of the harbingers of desolation. The once blue skies grew darker with each passing day, shrouded in the lingering pall of uncertainty. Humanity lived under a shadowy veil of surveillance, with the alien overlords monitoring their every move. There were whispers of resistance movements that emerged in hushed conversations, carried out by those who knew the secrets of the alien encounter. They clung to the dwindling embers of hope. Grandpa was among them too, and so, the stage was set for a climactic showdown between the beleaguered inhabitants of Earth and the enigmatic, malevolent beings from beyond the stars. As Grandpa's stories came to a tense pause, I couldn't help but wonder whether the courage and ingenuity of the human spirit would be enough to defy the harbinger's dark reign, or if Earth's fate was irrevocably sealed in the grasp of cosmic malevolence. As I watched the night sky through my telescope, searching for any sign of the harbingers of desolation, now being aware of real alien existence, I can't help but feel that we had opened the door to a realm of darkness we could never truly comprehend. The line between curiosity and horror had blurred, and the fate of humanity hung in the balance, all because of a chilling connection we had forged with the unknown. And I bet you're wondering, after all these stories I've been told countless times, do I still want to work for NASA? You betcha. If it means we can stop the aliens from taking over our planet, I'll do whatever I can, just like my hero, my grandpa. If you like the content on our channel, please subscribe and hit the bell icon so you can be notified when we upload more stories like this one.